Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, and radio network. What do we have in store for you on this edition of the program? A little Billy Ball, Billy Napier, front and center as the Gators upset Tennessee in the Swamp. His signature win. Why the door is open right now for Florida to stockpile some wins, pick up a lot of momentum over the course of the next month. So what you should expect, what's going to happen with the Gators. We told you at the beginning of the year there were 4 games. They had to pick up a notch on one of these 4. One that they probably weren't expected to win. They already got one. Who are the other 3? Going to look at that. A little shake and bake. The Florida Trinity. The Dolphins, the Bucs, the Jaguars. 6 games under the belt amongst the 3. 5-1. How about that? 5-1 in the state of Florida when it comes to the NFL. Through the first 2 weeks of the season. I look at quarterback play amongst the 3. Raise your hand if you thought Trevor Lawrence would have, of those 3, would have been struggling the most through 2 weeks. So we'll look at that as well. And also, the Rays in play. What it means that St. Pete is now going to build a stadium for the Tampa Bay Rays. Going to be the St. Pete Rays? Are they going to be the... What's going on here? So we'll look at that as well. Again, Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, radio network. Follow, share, like, subscribe. At Harp on Sports Twitter, at Harp on Sports Instagram, Harp on Sports Auditory Route, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Harp on Sports The Bar, Harp on Sports The Bar YouTube channel, Harp on Sports Facebook page, and of course, harponsports.com. A little Billy Ball out of the gate. Gators now 2-1, big win over Tennessee. How'd they do it? Physically dominated the line of scrimmage. That's what they did. Physically dominated the line of scrimmage. Heupel, Milton, Tennessee wasn't ready for that atmosphere. They weren't ready for the pressure. They weren't ready for, well, almost all of it. And now Florida finds itself 2-1, looking at Charlotte at home, Kentucky on the road, Vandy at home. Team should be 5-1. Are they going to be? Don't know. Should be. No, should know are 2 totally different things. Favorite against Charlotte, even though, a bunch of players are suspended for the altercation at the end of the Tennessee game. Good. The fact that they got a half against Charlotte, it could have been more. Yeah, you could have nailed them for the whole game. You want to discourage fighting. Now, if you're an SEC head coach, you look at your players and go, you fight, they're going to suspend you. So good tone set by the Southeastern Conference. This is why you don't allow punishments to occur in-house once conference play starts, because neither team would have suspended their guys. Why would you? Well, they probably would have done it against Charlotte. But if Florida were playing Kentucky this weekend, those guys wouldn't have sat. Not if suspensions were in-house. But I look at this and I say to myself, hey, look, for what Florida needed to accomplish, they needed of the 4 big ones this year. And the 4 big ones on the schedule inside of the conference, and one outside. Utah was nice beginning of the year at high risk, high reward. The other 4 big ones were what? They were Tennessee, Georgia, LSU, Florida State. Those are the big 4. They needed to get one of those. Needed to get at least one of those. They got one. Now the whole key is not giving one of the other ones back. Well, what are the other ones? Kentucky, Vandy, Missouri, South Carolina, Arkansas. There's other ones in there. You can't let one of those. You can't give one of those back. I kind of put Vandy off on the side. So it's Missouri, it's Arkansas, it's South Carolina, and it's Kentucky. You can't give one of those back. You picked up one of the big 4. You can't give one of the little 4 back. The problem is, over the course of the last few years, they've been giving those little 4s away. Gave one away to Vandy. Gave one away against Kentucky last year. They give those away. I shouldn't say give them away. Lost at Missouri. Lost at Kentucky. So I look at this and say to myself, okay, well, they're going to be 3-1 after the Charlotte game. And now you look at Kentucky. Kentucky's a pendulum swing. You beat Kentucky. You should beat Vandy at home. Then you're 5-1 and you're staring at what? You're 5-1 and you're staring at South Carolina on the road, a bye, Georgia. Then it starts to get tough. Georgia, Arkansas, start to stockpile some of these things. So again, from Billy Napier's perspective, he gets a signature win. And this team now back in the top 25, although, let's face it, polls aren't what they were. They're more bragging rights than anything else. But this team should be 5-1. This team should be 5-1 from what we've seen their first 3 games. Should be 5-1. And look, Kentucky's going to be a tight spread any way you look at it. But the way they physically dominate the line of scrimmage, they should go to Kentucky and win. It's a noon kick. I don't know if that hurts or helps. I suppose it doesn't hurt. Noon kicks are tougher for home teams than road teams, just for the simple aspect of the fans aren't quite into it as much. You can get caught sleepwalking. At night in those environments, especially in the SEC, you can build so much. Noon, it's kind of, here, let's go. I know some people think it's the opposite, but noon games are just so hard to get everybody, especially later in the year, especially when you get a month into the season or so. So Florida should be 5-1. And then South Carolina on the road, depending on how they play, could have a 6-1 Florida team taking on a 6. You really could. You could have a 6-0 Florida team, 6-0. You could have a 6-1 Florida team taking on a 7-0 Georgia team. Raise your hand if you thought that would happen. No, I'm not saying Florida's going to win all these. Heck, Florida could beat Charlotte and turn around and lose to Kentucky. If you had the distinct possibility that Florida's 6-1, going to need some break. Going to have to win some road games. Easier said than done. But Billy's on pace for a winning season this year now. And after Charlotte, he'll just need 3 more wins and to get bowl eligible. And with one of those being Vandy here, pretty good shape. He's in pretty good shape now. Pivoting from that to this. What a start for the teams in the state of Florida in football. NFL football, National Football League. Bucs 2-0, shake and bake, Baker Mayfield. Tua Tagovailoa on pace for 6,000 yards passing. Dolphins with 2 big road wins. 2 big road wins for the Phins in LA and in New England. And of course, the Jags take care of business week 1. And then what? Beat the Colts and then turn around and for eternity in the red zone. But this is one of these where, Jags fans point at the lack of scoring in the red zone and go, look, if we just punch 1 or 2 of those and we win that game. Well, then the Chiefs look around and go, okay, do we get our 3 turnovers back and our 140 yards worth of penalties? See, 6-1, half dozen of another, depending on how you want to look at it. So what I take away, at least when it comes to the first 6 games of these 3 teams, looking at each team, the Buccaneer, the team that's been the most impressive of all, of course, is the Dolphins because they've won 2 road games. The fact that the Dolphins went out to the West Coast, LA, pivot, head to New England, and the Phins are sitting there at 2-0 going, all right, we're in good shape. We just picked up 2 road wins. We didn't even played a home game yet. And one of the wins is over a division rival. The other win is against the playoff team from last year. We got to feel good about this. And the fact that Tua's thrown a couple of picks and you're 2-0 on the road, pretty good. Now, look, of course, that cloud is always going to be hovering over his head. But I look at other things, too, when it comes to this. Of course, the next most impressive thing has got to be the Bucs. Baker Mayfield. I looked this up. Baker Mayfield's in the top 10 in QBR and passer rating in the NFL. The fact that Baker Mayfield's in the top 10 in QBR and passer rating in the NFL, most quarterbacks that finish in the top 10 make the postseason. Not all, most. 70-75% of quarterbacks, top 10 QBR and passer rating. Top 10, he is. And Baker, look, he's on pace for what? He's very, I don't say conservative with it, but he's not turning it over. He's on pace for 4,200 yards, 20 touchdowns, 4,200 yards, 26 touchdowns, no picks. By no means is that, 26 touchdown passes, so what? But when I don't turn it over, you're a quarterback and you don't turn it over. Now, there's going to be games you're going to have to throw, going to have to come back, going to make mistakes, going to throw interceptions. Those things happen. But, yikes. The Bucs 2-0. Now, they're going to get tested coming up in a week. Monday Night Football at home. Big chance for them to prove that they fit. Monday night, a chance for them to prove they belong. Because if they beat the Eagles at home, you may not consider them a legit contender, and that's fine. But from where everybody thought this team was going to be in the, crash for Caleb sweepstakes, collapse for Caleb, the fact that this Bucs team's 2-0, Could be hard for them to get the number 1 pick now. I mean, think about it. Even if they would go 2-13 the rest of the way, that puts them at 4-13. That's not number 1 pick range. Usually 2-3 wins get you number 1 pick. Top pick honor. So the Bucs with Baker Mayfield, Bucs are. I thought at the beginning of the year, what did I say? When I went through and told you predictions about 7-10, 6-11. I think they got a shot to be 500. You bet. They beat the Eagles at home. Here's your go. Here's your litmus test. So there you go on that front. And I mentioned too. Just monster numbers. I wrote down here 6,000 yards. Dude's on pace for 6,000 yards passing. Is he going to do it? No. 34 and the fact that 34 touchdown passes, 17 picks is what his pace is. Of course, he's not going to do any of those things. But 2 road wins in the NFL to start the year, tough to do. Tua did it. So looking overall, and the Jags are going to be fine. The also, these 6 teams, nobody has played a team. Neither of these teams, the Bucs haven't played the Chiefs. A team like the Chiefs, the Chargers are good, but they're not Kansas City good. 5-1 start for the teams from Florida. And now you got a couple games under your belt. Oh, it's hot out. Yeah, it's hot out. Now we're getting into the late stages of September. To me, the quarter post is when I kind of have a little bit of an idea what we got. And, 2 games in, okay. This week is going to be one of those big barometers for a lot of teams because you're 3-0. You really, if you're 3-0, you go 3-3 in your next 6 games, you're what? You're 6-3 at the halfway point. If you start 3-0 and you go 500, your next, even if you don't, say you start 3-0 and you go 5-5 in your next 10 games. Okay, now you're what? You're 8-5 with a month to go in the season. That's how you make the playoffs. It's a playoff team. So this is big for the Phins and the Bucs. These are big weekends. And the Jags want to get back on track, but that division is booty. Man, the Texans are bad. Anthony Richardson can't stay healthy for the life of him. You just can't. And the Titans find ways every now and then, but that division it's abysmal. It is. So there you go. It's a little shake and bake to start the season for the 3 big teams in the state of Florida. Fun stuff. There's other college football things I'll get to, but I'll get that to in my midweek podcast. Man, what a weekend that you have got coming up here with some marquee elite monster games. And there's some things I want to do, like Mel Tucker and Michigan State. What do you do with that? But I think the Rays are a bigger story, at least for you guys consuming me. And to me, really quick here, I just wrote down 5 names. I think the one that they want is Pat Narduzzi. Pat Narduzzi, the head coach at Pitt, was the defensive coordinator for 8-9 years there under D'Antonio. That's the guy you want. But would you leave Pitt for Michigan State? I don't know. PJ Fleck at Minnesota was a coach at Western Michigan. Maybe. Everybody talks about Matt Campbell. I guess. I guess, but Matt Campbell needs to leave Iowa State. He should have left a couple years ago when they went to a major bowl game. Problem with Matt Campbell is like that success is unsustainable there. If you really want to leave, you need to go to a program like Michigan State, and then you can catapult Michigan State if you want to in 4 or 5 years. Nick Saban used Michigan State to get to LSU, so there's that on that front. I just want to spend a couple seconds on that. The Rays, finally a done deal, and this is a big deal for this reason. One is that the reality of this situation was this. Tampa had a decade to figure this out. The city did not do it. So St. Pete it is. And I know some people are upset that it's not in Tampa. And to the people of Tampa, tough. You had a chance to get it done. Now they want to build this into a district, kind of like Wrigleyville. What is it? 96 acres, 86 acre development. That's a big chunk of land to develop for the apartments and restaurants. And they want to make it like its own little area. Actually, what they're doing here is they're doing something very similar to what the Braves did when the Braves moved away from Turner Field, out of downtown, into the burbs. And I know we got to cross the bridge. I know. But what they're doing here is saying by the time, 6 years or older, 5 years roll around, 2028, 5 years into this stadium, a decade from now, so much movement population-wise is going on the other side. 30,000 will be fine. New stadium, new amenities, new things, we'll be fine. And that's where we're going in sports. At least in baseball, we're doing it. Smaller stadiums, more stuff to do. Smaller stadiums, more of a spectacle. That's why so many more luxury suites. And to me, good for the Rays. And feel bad for Tampa? No, not at all. Had a chance to get it done. I hate to tell Rays fans this. Your options were St. Pete or Nashville. I mean, they kicked around the idea of Orlando, but these were your options. It wasn't going to happen in Tampa. They could not wait any longer. Can't wait. Can't wait for you any longer. Can't wait. We've all been there with jobs, significant others. I can't wait on you anymore. I got to move. Got to make a move. You're going to have to make a decision. You're going to sign here or not? You're not going to sign? Okay, I'm going to move on. That's what this was. Couldn't wait any longer. Deal done. St. Pete, boom. And the fact that, part of the big part of this too is what? Steinberg kicking in $600 million. We get the owner to pay for half of it, and the city has to come up with the other half. And okay, feasible. Tax breaks, 30 years, all of those things, and you build yourself a real baseball park. I shouldn't say real. I don't hate the Trop as much as other people hate it, but good for the Rays. Staying put. The broader picture on this, the bigger picture on this is what for baseball? Well, now you've got the A's Stadium deal done. Now you got the Rays Stadium deal done. So expansion can officially, the minute this stadium deal is signed, we know the A's are done. You're going to see within the next 6 months, legitimate, let's open up the gate. Let's do some bidding on some expansion teams. Expansion talk will be on the table at the winter meetings here in December. And by next spring, you're going to have a full-on effect of, okay, we're going to, over the course of the next year here, we're legitimately going to look at expansion. And to me, there's 4 cities. You're going to get one in the west and one in the east. Or one of the west of the Mississippi, one of the east. Your options east or Nashville, Charlotte. Your options west or Portland or Salt Lake City. That's what it's going to be. Now, there's certain markets out there that, I've mentioned San Antonio in the past. There's a bunch of markets that you could really make a push for. Heck, you could do Charlotte and Nashville. Both of them aren't going to get one. They're just not. So your options, Nashville or Charlotte will get one. Portland or Salt Lake City will get one. And then you hear pushes like, well, Milwaukee may move if they don't get a new stadium. And Baltimore wants some renovations done and some big things done. The White Sox are another one that they'll explore Nashville as well. Well, you got the 2 big bad wolves that are gone. The bad wolves, the bad ballparks that were 30 years old were what? Well, Oakland's older than that, but it was Oakland and it was Tampa, and both of these teams in their cities have been doing this carousel effect for the last 15 years. Now it appears to be over, so baseball can start to talk about expansion again. Charlotte or Nashville, Portland or Salt Lake City. If I had to guess, I'd say Nashville gets one, and I think Portland gets one. I think those are your 2. And it allows you to do more things with the West Coast and balance them, maybe rebalance the divisions. What did 32 look like? Do you do 8 divisions of 4 like the NFL? Probably. 8 divisions of 4 is probably what you're going to see. That way baseball can really start to adjust how they do their postseason. Really make some adjustments. You could actually go 16 deep then, couldn't you? If you go 8 divisions of 4, you could do best 3 out of 5 out of the gate. Best 3 out of 5. You could. Now you have to do some tweaks. The fact that they sped up the season, baseball is making progress here. There's so many things you can do. I can do 2 hours on baseball expansion, what it could mean for the postseason. But there you go. The Rays deal means Nashville, Charlotte, Portland, Salt Lake City. 2 of those cities are going to get professional teams now. It's a question of who. And like the Milwaukee's, the White Sox, the Orioles. Remember, for the longest time, Roger Goodell in the NFL used Los Angeles as a threat to get Indy, the Vikings, the Falcons, all these cities to build new stadiums. Now that is Nashville going to be used as that bait? Because Nashville was used as a threat. It's been used. The White Sox may move to Nashville. The Rays may go to Nashville. Are they going to use that as the threat? Is that a big enough threat to get Do they wait another year to debate the White Sox to do something new? Do they use another year to bait Milwaukee to renovate, Baltimore to renovate? With the season Baltimore's had, that's some cheap ownership up there, though. So we'll see. So there you go. Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, radio network. Follow, share, like, subscribe at Harp on Sports Twitter, at Harp on Sports Instagram, Harp on Sports auditory route. Check us out, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcast, under the Harp on Sports realm. Harp on Sports Facebook page, The Bar. Harp on Sports YouTube channel, The Bar. And of course, harponsports.com. Remember, stay clean, stay focused, strong. Frankenstein. Have fun with your friends.